wants to tame me. You can't catch me on the run, cause I'm gone, yeah. I blaze trails, set fire to what's behind me. No, I'm never looking back, I'm on the run. I could only ever be what I'm made to be. It feels good when I'm living on the edge. Watch me now, go like thunder, gonna shake the ground. Can't stop me now, I don't give up and I won't back down. I'm a force of nature, can't be contained. I got lightning running all through my veins. Watch me now, watch me now.
Hi, I'm Wyatt Milan. I'm from Canova, West Virginia. When I'm back home, you'll find me at my local Par-Mar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Par-Mar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Par-Mar app and sign up for the Par-Mar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Par-Mar stores.
If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
Virginia Day, Mountaineer Nation. Yes, I'm the Wolfman, Dale Wolfley. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us today on the birthday of West Virginia. Very cool. This is the Wolfman's Call, and we have a great lineup for you today. But what about that? I just played that commercial there. Paul and Minnie, those batteries, man. If you go green, you save green. And that's a long intro, and I'm going to get rid of that. I'll put the other back in rotation, cut it down. But I wanted you to see the whole thing because it's so cool. And I like the electric, the charge, because I get all fired up. But regardless, I want to tell you, we got a great lineup today. I got to start off with Hillary Jeffries for the National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame. We're going to get to her in just a minute. And then we're going to have You Make the Call with Justin Marcum. I'm not sure what he's going to talk about. I think he may have a little bit of a rant in there. He better keep it cool, though, because we're going to be watching him. And then, of course, we're going to break down some commits there for WVU and check them out and see how good that these guys really are. And then, of course, we'll do a little bit of some fun. And I'll put out there, if you want to join the show, I'll put the link out there, man, after we get done with Hillary here. But first, listen, subscribe on YouTube, West Virginia football, the voice of college football. Retweet this, man, on Twitter. We're live, man. Even if we're not live, retweet it, right? And share it on Facebook because it's all good. And we're growing like crazy just in the short time that we've been going. And, well, you know what? The show's cool, right? Because it rocks, because it's the Wolfman's Call. And with that all being said, let me introduce you to something that's really cool. Now, Hillary Jeffries, she's like I said, she's down there in Dallas. She works right at the National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame. But the cool thing is, she's a West Virginia University grad. Is that true, there, Hillary?
You're darn right it is. I wear my blue and gold with pride. That's absolutely true. You can see back there, right?
Yeah, I see the helmet back there, and I can see that you are fired up. Now, were you not an undergrad, WVU, and a grad?
I was, yes. Yeah. I said I had so much fun the first time around, I came back for more, right?
Yeah, see, that's how cool the WolfMan's call is, though, because we had that research team get down there and figure out that you were there for probably, about 6 years now in Morgantown?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what's your background, Hillary? Where do you come from?
I hail from a little town right over the border in Pennsylvania, in Greene County. I'm a Mapletown, Pennsylvania girl. Went to WVU, did my undergrad in journalism, took a few years off, and then went back and did a master's in sport management. And I've been living, it's hard to believe, but I've been living here, and I've been officially a Texan now for about 17 years. So
17 years. Well, I remember we were talking earlier when you were there for Daryl Talley, not when he got into the College Hall of Fame, he may have been there, but at WVU when we went out and gave him all the awards and ceremonies. What a weekend that was. I was in charge at WVU, and it was quite the spectacle, quite the cool thing there with DT, and well-deserved, so well-deserved, right?
no question, no question. I've been so lucky that since I've been with the foundation, my very first year with the foundation, John Nealon went into the Hall of Fame. And so it was such like an amazing thing for me. I felt like it was, he was inducted just for me or something, and then Major Harris came a few years later, and then Daryl in 2011. And, the Mountaineers have also had quite a few NFF National Scholar Athletes over the year. And most recently in, I believe, 2021 with Sean Mahone. So it's been great because Mountaineers have always kind of been around. So it's wonderful.
Yeah, I imagine you got a really cool job, that you get to meet all of these college Hall of Famers. And, with that being said, is there anyone that you're like, that was the coolest person I met? Did you have any of those experiences?
I mean, I think what people would really be surprised to hear is most of the people that, aside from WVU people, of course, because that's just special in a totally different way. It usually ends up being the people that, maybe aren't the household names that I end up really bonding with and, end up having just lifelong friendships with them and their families and everything. So for me, it's just, every class is different. Every inductee is special, and it's just really fun getting to know them all.
Okay, great. Well, we said you're down in Dallas, Texas. Hot degree, 98 degrees right now. I'm feeling really cool in my studio. It's kind of like a coffin. Maybe it's kind of like last call. I don't know. I kind of got that vibe there, so we'll be having some fun up here. Now, the fun down there is you've talked about a little bit of the National Football Foundation. You're in charge of special events. That seems like it could be a lot of fun.
It is. Actually, so the two areas that I oversee are the Hall of Fame election and voting process, as well as our scholar athlete program. So there are two things I'm very passionate about. I grew up watching football constantly with my dad. I was like the son he never had. And so, football has just always kind of been in my blood, and I just absolutely love it. So to get to do this, every day, I just kind of have to pinch myself.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I think I pinch myself as well. So let's go ahead and talk about NFF here. And what do you do? NFF and COH, right?
Yes.
Okay, I got it. I screwed up. All right. So let me ask you this. What's the history of it? How did it start? When did it start, I guess? And briefly, I don't want you to go way in detail, but tell us about it.
Sure. Overall, the National Football Foundation has been around for more than 75 years. It was established in 1947 by some pretty big time people, historically speaking, famed sports writer Grantland Rice, Red Blake, the great Army coach, and so people have always recognized the importance of football and the character building attributes that it brings to young people. And so that's what the NFF is. We're here to promote the good in the game and to show how football really does build leaders for the next generation to come. And so we're all about promoting everything that's good in the game, the people that are doing big things, and especially, we really want to promote the student part of the student athlete. We know we love football. Everybody loves football, but right now in this day and age, let's really focus on the educational parts of it as well. And so that's something that we're really pushing and working hard towards as well.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. Sounds like a great thing. And the reason why I asked you for a little bit of history is with WVU and with the state of West Virginia. Mark Plants is now the West Virginia State chapter, but we have not had a lot of memberships out of West Virginia. And I think it's an issue that I don't think we've done a good enough job here in the state of promoting. And so that's really why I want to do this, because, of course, Aaron Beasley, Jim Carlin, who coached at West Virginia, then went to Texas Tech, but he did great things at West Virginia back in the 60s to 70 range. And, of course, Randy Moss, who I don't think is going to have any issues getting into the College Hall of Fame. But Aaron Beasley, Jim Carlin are not as well known, although they've had their most distinguished careers. We got to get them in because West Virginia has missed out. Because, Hillary, I'll let you talk here in a second. I don't mean to be so much full hot air, but Danny Buggs, great wide receiver back in the 70s, is not in the Hall of Fame because West Virginians weren't sure how to do it. And I think that's what's so important right now, because the voting, if I'm not wrong, ends at the end of this month.
It does. But I think if I could just back up a little bit, I think what a lot of people don't realize is that the voting process is actually much more nuanced than maybe at face value. And so there are actually, especially for the FBS level guys, so the Aaron Beasleys of the world that you see on the ballot, the FBS players actually go through a 3-part process. Once I have vetted a candidate and made sure that they do qualify, they then go through a district screening selection. And so basically we take every single nominee from across the country, and I had about 250 active nominations this year. And we divide them up into 8 different regional districts based on the geographic location of their school. So someone like Aaron Beasley is in District 1, with kind of like the Northeast and everything. So he's kind of pinned up against, all the other candidates from that district, from Syracuse, from Virginia Tech, from Pitt, from Penn State, all those guys. He has to be a top vote getter out of that district in order to make it onto the national ballot. And that's one thing a lot of people don't realize. So he's already doing really well, just getting out of that district that has like 30 some odd candidates. And so when you look at the national ballot, particularly the FBS players, they're already, the top vote getters out of their respective districts. So there's still, more than 100, actually, like close to, more than 150 candidates that didn't make the national ballot in any given year. So then the process that we're in the middle of right now is the membership vote. And I know that's what you've been getting to with the West Virginia chapter and everything. That does close at the end of this month. And so we encourage people to join and, become an active participant in voting for the Hall of Fame. Once this part once this process, this part of the voting ends, then we go to the honors court in August, which is the ultimate selection committee.
Okay, so, but to get to the ultimate selection committee, they have to get the votes, right, from the people. And that's our job at West Virginia, to make sure that we get around there and we say, hey, listen, you got to get in here. Because you know why? Here it's like anything else. We love Aaron Beasley. He's just, killer bees is what we called him. He used to go zzz, coming out to practice, right? He'd be like zzz. Every single day he brought that to West Virginia, and every single day he brought that when he was in the NFL. And it was just a special cat who had the most interceptions one year. I think he led the nation or tied was tied in the nation for the lead. And he just did so much for WVU. And I think that when West Virginia, who I think is a smaller state, obviously by the numbers, we need to stick together. And it's West Virginia United, right? I mean,
right.
you go back, you're 17 years in Texas, but you're still a Mountaineer. You were here last year, as you were saying, there for the Baylor game, and you still have great friends and the guys that come down and see you. They're at the Big 12, which is what is that? Beginning of July?
Yeah, it's like mid-July for the Big 12 Media Days.
Okay, so Monturo, Big Red, as I call him, right? And Mike Frigale, who I call Frigale. So you got Big Red and just say Big Red and Frigale. Don't know exactly where that's coming from. So that's what we're trying to do. I think is there anything else that we can do besides do we have to go to the footballfoundation.org to register, I suspect?
Yes, if you just go to footballfoundation.org, you'll see a tab at the top that says join a chapter or become involved. For $60, you can get a 1-year membership. For $150, you can get a 3-year membership. Or if you feel so inclined, you can do a $1,000 lifetime membership. But I think at the end of the day, the voting on the College Football Hall of Fame, obviously it's a great perk. But when you join an NFF chapter, it really gives you the opportunity to take on our mission here at the national office and work on that on a grassroots level. And you really have direct impact to the parents, the coaches, the teachers, and your direct community. And that's really the most important thing. Our chapters alone gave out $1 million in scholarships last year. Yeah. And I mean, what a better thing to do in the state of West Virginia when there aren't a whole lot of people like that. You can come together and give out scholarships and give people more opportunities to play or go to college and all those things. But so yes, voting on the College Football Hall of Fame ballot is a huge opportunity and a huge perk. But there are a lot of other benefits to joining an NFF chapter as well. Yeah,
we actually had Bob Sims on the show, who I know you're familiar with. He started a scholarship in the process with the whole chapter, and they just gave out in the North-South game a couple of weeks ago, that scholarship, and he was all fired up, and he got on there, and he's just full of a lot of energy, and I love listening to old legends. And he called himself old. He called himself old, so that's right. Old legend talks story, the best of stories, which I'm sure you get a lot of there. So, hey, thank you so much. We're going to go, man. We're going to get this done. We got marching orders. We're going to say it's from Hillary Jeffries. She says you need to sign up. You need to go ahead and vote Aaron Beasley. And by the way, when he goes to New York City for the dinner, because I know he's going to get elected, I'm going with him. All right.
Well, we're in Vegas now, so that's
Vegas? Okay, well, I'm glad I cleared that out.
Hey, it's still a good time, right?
Yeah, I'd be in New York, and you guys would all be in Vegas. All right. Hey, Hillary Jeffries, thank you so much. National Football Foundation College Hall of Fame. Thanks for your time, and hey, we hope to bring you back sometime because you're a Mountaineer.
Absolutely. Would love to come back. And thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. God bless. See you now. Oh, right. Hillary Jeffries. I'll tell you what. That girl, she is fantastic what she does. She's in charge of special events there. I love the College Hall of Fame. I really do. And Daryl Talley's there. Major Harris. Don Nealon, and we got to get some more. I know we missed Brian Joswiak. I know Grant Wiley's going to be coming up. So we really need to get in this groove. And really, what I learned from that the most was that how much that, even though she's the part of the national office, is how much it affects locally. And I guess I should have figured that out from Clancy and with Bob Sims. But she really just hit that home for me. So the National Football Foundation is doing a lot in the local chapters. Support Mark Plants right there. And I'll go ahead. I'll put that information up for him as well. So, again, we thank Hillary Jeffries for that great information. I'm not going to New York. I'll be in Vegas, all right? So I won't be on the right side. I'll be on the left. Okay, well, let's get into it. Who do we got here? Mike Rollins, what do you say about that? Great legends? Yeah, there's no doubt. They are great legends. In fact, as Aaron Beasley, I told you, man, he's like a. In fact, I can remember coming out, because I was coaching then on the staff, and remember that not only was he doing it, Coach Nealon was coming out. He inspired him. He was coming out going, bzzz. When you see Coach Nealon do that, that's kind of funny. So that's how much Aaron Beasley meant to the Mountaineers, and absolutely in his NFL career. All right, so the next thing is we got You Make the Call. And I got somebody here now from Williamson, West Virginia. I told you I'm going to let people on here of Mountaineer Nation. You got something to say? You're respectful. You're cool. I'm going to let you just come right on and join the show. And let's see what we got here. Justin, give me a thumbs up if you're backstage and you're ready, brother. All right, here we go. And I got to get this up. There you go. What's going on, Justin Marcum? How you doing?
What's up, Wolf? Doing well. How are you?
Good, man. Looks like you got a real tight buzz cut since the last time I've seen you.
Yeah, had to get cleaned up a little bit.
That's okay. Well, I don't mind you doing that for me because, this is such the WolfMan's Call show, right?
The only thing about it, my barber, it's loaded with Randy Moss stuff. It's Straight Cash Cuts over in Loudon. So I give a shout out to my guys over at Straight Cash Cuts in Loudon County.
All right, cool. Hey, so what did you think of what Hillary had to say? I know I saw you jump on.
I did. That was awesome. I tell you, if we can get him in the Hall of Fame, and as a Mountaineer, I think that'll be awesome for the university, for his family, for everybody involved. But Mountaineer football, that's life. You understand that we've been around, and I'd love to see him get in.
Yeah, that is life, is it not? I mean, with bees and Jim Carlin too. I don't know if you've seen the book here, The Band of Brothers, Then and Now. I'll just hold this up, and anyone who's been following, Frank Fear comes on every Monday for what I call the Frank Fear Hour. And yesterday he was on for like half an hour. My goodness. But regardless, the book is that's the 66 to 70 guys, and as they have so many stories, Justin, and I think your family, if I can recall right, because you are a donor, a sponsor, a fan, somebody that takes great pride in the state. And I think your family did as well before you.
Yeah. We've been involved. My dad and I been donors, especially Mountaineer football, but to the university. My wife and I both went to West Virginia. Season ticket holders for 30-plus years. It's been ingrained in me since I remember sitting in the end zone when it was still grass before the touchdown terrace was built, and that's life.
Okay, so let me just get in this before we dive into it, because you're from Williamson, West Virginia. Which if we came down there and we got great barbecue, came out and visited you as part of that 1891 club for Neil at the time. But aren't you closer to Kentucky for actual university than up there at WVU?
It's about the same distance. I think Lexington's 3.5 to 4 hours. WVU's 3.5 to 4 hours. For me, 3.5. But on MapQuest, it's 4 hours each way. But depends on how you drive, I guess.
Okay, I thought it was closer than that, but that's all right, because I kind of thought that. I mean, you really come up from the bottom of the state, like the very tip. You're right there at the edge. But it's the Hatfields and McCoys.
Yeah, and even on Metro News, from Martinsburg to Matewan, we're right here, and Matewan is a couple miles from us, and it's pretty neat, as it's always on Sportsline and things, from Martinsburg to Matewan. That's the 2 points in the state, and to be in one of those points, it's pretty neat.
All right, so it's Matewan.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think I've been saying it wrong for a very long time. All right. Well, very good. Well, listen, brother. All right, right here is You Make the Call, man. And this is your call. What do you want to talk about today as a Mountaineer?
Wolf, I'm just one of those things, as a lifelong Mountaineer fan, I look forward to seeing how we move forward. A lot been going on in all sports. Women's basketball. Of course, Coach Huggins, Hall of Fame legend coach. And our football team, we got to produce this year. Some fans are getting impatient, and I love our coaching staff. I love the people around, but I also love my Mountaineers more than anything. And we got to get some wins on the board. I look forward to seeing how we come out of this in all sports.
Yeah, no doubt. And what are you saying about fans getting frustrated? What are you hearing, man, on the ground? Because I don't hear it. A lot of people don't always tell me exactly how they feel. I think sometimes they want to, but I'm not sure that. Hopefully, this show is going to get that out more and more. But what do you think, man? What are you hearing on the ground, and what's the issues?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the Huggins issue. I think Athletic Director Baker has handled it well, done all he could do with that. It was a tough situation. We were at the basketball camp the morning the news broke at the father-son camp. My son and I were there, and nobody talked about it because the news was just breaking. But there was just a feeling over the practice facility that something was not right. Of course, women's basketball, getting a new coach. I'm excited to see what happens there. But as you know, Wolf, you and I, we've done a lot from Rich Rod to Dana to Neil. We've donated a lot of time and money, and the fans are wanting to see some wins on the board. We come into the Big 12. I think Dana adjusted very well to it, and we've kind of went stagnant as a football program, and it's something that we've got to come out of. I would like to see a little more play to win instead of playing not to lose. I think if we can get a little more kick in us, that will show that we're aggressive. That listen, we might be a little smaller. We might be from West Virginia, not Texas or Oklahoma. But by God, we're going to kick you in the mouth when we come on the field. And if we can get that mentality and get the wins on the board, as you know, the fans will be satisfied.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I think you're right that they'll be satisfied if you start getting wins anytime, right? I mean, I think that's pretty much a no-brainer. But when I go back and I look at this, and I'm thinking to myself, what has been the problem? Is it the NIL? Is it the transfer portal? Is it a lack of stability? I think too. I mean, everybody had to deal with COVID, so I mean, everybody was dealing with the same circumstances. And so what do you feel like from your point? Because I know you've had it said a couple of things. Is what, and you don't want to bash. This is not a bashing.
No, sir. No.
So this is how do we go about find the problem? I think you have to identify the problem to go ahead and find a solution.
Yeah, Wolf, that's one thing. You hear a lot of fans, fire the coach, fire the coach. That's not always the answer in football or basketball or whatever it is. I don't agree with just firing the coach for the sake of firing the coach. I think we got to put up and show that we're aggressive and that we're willing to go after the big win and take the chance. I still get frustrated sometimes about the 4th and 1 versus Pitt. I was on the sidelines, 4th and a foot, and we had that game won. And I'm not blaming anybody for that other than we have got to take the gloves off. If we're going to a street fight, we're not wearing boxing gloves.
If we're not, I've been asking this question to every former football player that I can, and to anyone that's willing to answer. You've seen a lot of WVU football, and what is your point of view when it comes to blue collar? Down in Williamson, obviously, there's a huge coal area. Blue collar, taking that image and following what West Virginians are for the majority part. I mean, for me, listen, man, we were tough. We just Coach Nealon, and then when Coach Rod came along and Coach Stu, I mean, we were tough. Coach Stu gave the best speech of all time going against Oklahoma, which had a great team. I thought they were almost invincible that year. Before the Mountaineers took them. I mean, even Dana when he went 10-2, with Skyler Howard of all quarterbacks, with so much credit to Skyler. because he fought. He's a competitor, and I don't think he gets the credit he should get from Mountaineer Nation. 10-2 in the Big 12. Nobody else at any other time has done that, and the Mountaineers did.
Yeah, the blue collar mentality. I still have the wristband that Dana gave us when we all would wear those in the 1891 club, of the blue collar mentality. And getting back to that is, like I was saying, if we're going to a street fight, we're taking the gloves off. We're coming out. Listen, we might be smaller. We might be from West Virginia, but by gosh, we're coming out to fight. And instilling back into our program that no matter what, we're taking a chance and we're coming after you. I'm reminded of what Dana did versus Texas with David Seal. Whenever they come out on, there was a few cuss words said. Let's go at it. Let's do this. Let's get this 2-point conversion. Let's win this game. We're not going for the tie. We're going for the win. And that's the mentality that I'm talking about, of coming out to playing to win instead of playing not to lose.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Dana, I had a lot of things that I liked about Dana, some things I didn't agree with on his philosophy. But I will say this, man, the guy had a ton of balls.
Yep, he did.
He did, and I'm sure he still does. And I just thought it was really cool. I enjoyed that. I remember being on the sidelines of that game against Texas, and I said to myself, there's no way he's going for a tie. I knew it. There's no way. It's not in his nature to go ahead, be at Texas, have that opportunity to do that. And then he did it twice. Moments like that, I think of how great they are. I think of how great that 2006 Sugar Bowl, the fake punt was, that Rich Rod called.
That Rich Rod did, yep.
Those are some of the greatest moments in Mountaineer football. And there's been so many more. So, guys, everybody, don't get upset. I know all the great moments of WVU football, but those are like two moments. There's like, wow, that really took a lot of guts. And it goes back to you saying, take the gloves off. So we got the problem. We think we have. What's the solution?
The solution is if we get back, it's a tough. Football is not a game where I think one thing can fix everything and make it right. As you know, I think we got a great staff. I think they work great together. But if we can get a little more of that mentality instilled in the program, that, hey, when you pull into Morgantown, we're coming after you. Win, lose, or draw, we're coming out to play. I think that sometimes our team is either really high or really low, and that we're never in that equilibrium right in the middle. But if we can just keep that team up here, even if we're not athletically or physically as strong as, if we're not all 4 and 5 stars, we can motivate these boys, get them out here and do what we know West Virginians can do. And that's the blue collar mentality. You don't kick us when we're down, because we're coming after you.
Yeah, I hear you there. And I like Neil Brown, and I like his staff, and I've seen a lot of good stuff come out of there. What I think is where they've lacked is stability, keeping players.
I do too.
And I think that affects them because you're lacking seniors and junior leadership from these players, or you're taking in your seniors are players that haven't been there for a very long time.
And it's hard to instill in a fifth-year senior transfer that blue-collar mentality we're talking about. You're a senior, you're a leader, you've been at other programs, you've done well, but then you come to West Virginia. How are we going to instill into you in 1 year what you and I know Coach Stu was doing and Coach Rod was doing and Coach Nealon was doing when they had players 3 and 4 and 5 years? That's a difficult that's hard to answer, but how do we do that? And I don't know. It's tough.
Well, I'll tell you what I do know. Did you listen to the speech by Mike Tomlin for the Steelers?
I've listened to a bunch of them, yes, sir.
See the last one that came out, and just really about something about you have to progress every single day, and what you did before doesn't matter, and you have to keep improving. But he's such a leader. There's no quantifying how much of an alpha male he is as a leader, and that people look up to him. But I think that Neil Brown needs to take that on himself and be that type of leader. Not only does he clarify himself, and I'm not saying this to clarify himself, but I want to see him get pissed off and say, you know what, fellas, if you don't want to be here, then don't be here.
Get out. Move on.
Because we want this nucleus. And I think he might be starting to do it. And I think by talking to Nico Marchio last week, I'm starting to see, I think the staff is starting to really go ahead and preach. Because if you don't preach the right message, they're never going to get it. If you don't have that identity where you want to be, you can't build a culture.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what your culture is, because you don't know what your identity is. And then you don't know what your identity is because you don't know what your culture is.
Yeah. That's tough.
Okay.
But that's something, like you say, I think you hit the nail on the head that we have to instill at an early age. And if you don't like it, get out, move on. There's other players. We'll move on as a program. Our program's bigger than any player. And if you don't buy into what we're saying, move on.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm hoping about this team, I truly believe that these coaches really feel like they can turn it around. So I'm going to sit there and say, you know what? I am hoping that they do, but there's only one way to do that, and that is you got to instill toughness, and that's blue collar. They're one and the same. Toughness, blue collar, toughness. If we don't have that, then we're not a Mountaineer team, and we can't bring it at you. Now listen, okay, you can say that we're smaller, but again, I say we're smaller in a large part, not on the offensive line now, but probably on the defense. We don't have a whole bunch of older guys.
Yeah. And I think it's that plays into it. But I tell you, if you can get a guy here at West Virginia for 3 or 4 years with Mike Joseph, believe me, you will mature. You will develop into that blue-collar mentality that we're talking about. I think Mike Joseph is the best strength and conditioning coach in the nation. He's a legend. And if we can just get these players here for more than a year or two with Mike, they'll learn exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, and you got Mike Rollins here saying, hey, you didn't understand it. If you don't have depth, you can't win. And Mike, that is so true. You cannot win without depth, especially in Power 5 football. You might be able to get away with it with other leaders. I mean, for a little bit, we had got away with it for a lot, but we had Gino, we had Stedman, and we had Tavon. And, when we had a trio of superstars, got away with it. But overall, is you need that team depth. I mean, we got guys in the defensive line that were taking the 25 reps last year, and now they got to take the 60 reps. And I don't see guys right now that are prepared, ready for that. So that's an issue. But this is what I said about this whole transfer portal thing. What it is what it is what you got. But it's incumbent and dependent on these coaches that they need to change that locker room into some tough SOBs that are snorting snot and don't care about Penn State, and to have the ability to think over tough obstacles. Having that, you have to be able to do it. And that's hard to do in development. That's my concern.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that lack of, I don't want to say maturity, but that lack of depth that Mike's talking about, and the lack of having people here for a couple of years. I mean, 2 years, some of these players are coming in. West Virginia, we're known. I mean, we keep players and develop them for 3, 4, and 5 years back in the day when we were winning the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, when we were pulling out those wins. It's because we have people who understood our culture, who were engaged, and who bought into the fact that, hey, this is West Virginia, this is blue-collar country, and we're going to do what our coaches say. We're going to work out, and then they start to buy into the bigger program and that bigger message that's being taught. From, like I said, from Stu, from Rich Rod, from all of from Coach Nealon, et cetera.
All right. All right, brother. Well, listen, I want to thank you for joining us, Justin. I know you and your family have been long supporters of WVU football, basketball, and athletics, and the university.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'm giving you full credit and saying, hey, what you want to say, you got every single right to say, as all Mountaineer fans do. So thanks for coming on the Wolfman's Call, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, Bills Mafia.
Oh, you brought that out. All right. Take care, brother. Bill's Mafia.
Yes,
My golly. That's good stuff. All right. Justin Marcum, down from Williamson, West Virginia. I mean, that's down there now. I went down there, and we had some barbecue down there, man, and we had such a good time. And I want to tell you what, he's a good dude. The whole family's a good dude. So Mountaineers, man, that's what I want. I want you to see this, Mountaineers, what we're talking about. And here you go. All right. You want to come on? You can come on the show. Be respectful, be humble. I'm putting this offer out once again. I'll continue on here with this show, but let me first go ahead and look up here what I want to talk about next, because I'm sitting here and I think I got Brandon Rehmann, 4-star. We're going to break him down, but I think what I want to do first is dressing this up with George Kittle. I did the play action with him yesterday, and I really like what he has to say here, because when you, again, and I'm going to get off the tight end here after a while, but I love the tight end. I think it's just needs to be used in college. I think West Virginia specifically needs to use the tight end. And George Kittle's a fine example. Yes, he's probably the best tight end in the NFL, so his talent levels are very, very high. Very, very high. Okay, I got it. But Cole Taylor, he could do things at this level. It's all relative. It's all relative. You can take high schoolers and tell a tight end high school, hey, go do a seam route, man. Just straight on down there. Just do a seam route, and we're going to take you because you're a big guy. You're tall, usually. That's what you're looking for in tight end. And go ahead and do that. But see, here's the key. So if you want to set this up, the tight end, you have to understand how to use the tight end. I said Kyle Shanahan really uses the tight end well, really sets up the tight end, uses the run plays, not just the tight end. Now, he sets up his offense, but it becomes effective because he uses the same formations. And there's not a whole bunch of different plays, but what they do is they dress it a little different. What do I mean by dressing it? Well, they dress it so that it looks different to the opponents, the defenses, and they're not so sure. What's the best way for a defense to understand your offense is to be simple, to not do anything, to say, oh, I know this is 11 personnel, and I know that they're 2-by-2, right? So you got one running back, one tight end, and they got a receiver here. You got your Z towards the Y, which is the tight end, and then you have your other two. You got the receiver over there, and you got the X, and you have the I, whatever you want, H, it doesn't matter. All right, so you have that 2-by-2. Well, I understand it's 1st and 10. So now you can say, this is what defense is saying. This is what defense coordinator. So what are your tendencies? What are your tendencies at this point? And if you don't dress it up, it's really easy to see what your tendencies are. So you go for the odds. It's like, blackjack. You get 2 aces. What do, man? You split them, right? Because you know the tendencies, or you want that shot. Well, that's the same thing as being a defensive coordinator. Nobody knows what the offense is going to do, but the offenses show tendencies. And let's listen to George here. Let me see, get him up.
I mean, I think it's evolved.
Let's put that right back. Here we go.
I mean, I think it's evolved every single year. It's completely different than what we did like my rookie year and my second year. Much more creative. You see all the motions and stuff that we do. All the fools, like we'll have a wide receiver in the front of the ball looking like he's going to down block. Instead, he's just juking the guy and going up to the second level. Basically, we're just doing everything that we can to cause confusion on the edges because if you can match up, tight end versus an outside linebacker or defensive end one-on-one, but slow the defensive end down just like for a hair of a second, I'm going to pick myself over that guy every single time. And while, yes, our straight-up outside zone of just running it, a normal play and calling it changes, I'm okay with that because the way that we mess with defenses and, like, how all of our plays look the same now, like we'll start in a formation that's a 3-by-1, and we'll motion a guy over. So then on hike, it's going to be a 2-by-2, and then we bump it the fullback goes, and all of a sudden it's a 3-by-1 to the opposite side. Now the whole defense has to flip, and all their responsibilities change. And let's just say.
All right. So again, what did he do? He said they flip it right with the motions. And so what are they doing? They're changing the responsibilities of the defense. If you go back to the Kansas game last year, and Kansas came in with an incredible offensive attack that I think it took Big 12 teams 6-7 games. It wasn't just West Virginia, but 6-7 games. And then Daniels got hurt, their quarterback. So that slowed them down as well. But what they did is they were doing things that could confuse the defense and changing them at the last moment and showing different looks that really slowed our defense down. And they slowed it down the entire game into overtime. And so you can see if you could do that. So let's take it, Chad Scott. We got tight ends in there. You could go 11 personnel, 1 tight end, 1 running back, three wides. You can go 12 personnel. Let's bring in Traylon Davis or whatever secondary tight end that you want to use. And that would be 1 running back, 2 tight ends, and then 2 wide receivers. So what you can do is you can mix all that up again. But the cool thing is that you can dress this up. You can move guys around. You can flip it. And so it's not the same look. But what you want to do is distract the defense. So you move, all of a sudden their responsibilities change, and you flip it. I think that's what Kyle Shanahan does so well. And then he sets up the play action pass, the run, play action pass. And you're mixing all these things in here. And then what he talks about is unlocking the defense. And unlocking the defense is that now they're guessing. Last year against Kansas, the Mountaineers were guessing, especially in the second half. My goodness. And it was difficult. So I'm not going to sit here and rip. But, again, they unlocked the Mountaineers' defense. What that meant is that the tendencies were out the window. There was nothing that was a tendency that you could say, well, this and that. And it was early in the season as well. So that also didn't help. But, again, unlocking the defense where you're guessing, that's what you want to do as an offensive coordinator. And that's what I said Kyle Shanahan did. You know who else did a really good job of that at WVU was Mike Jacobs, my offensive coordinator for when I played and when I was coaching at West Virginia. Mike Jacobs was the offensive coordinator for Coach Nealon for the 2 11-0 undefeated seasons, regular seasons. Okay, that's who Mike Jacobs was, and he did a great job of doing things and moving around so that you didn't know exactly what the offense was going to do. Now, if we had to run, and I've talked about this, if you had to run and they know we're going to run, then you have to develop that hardness to still be successful, even if the numbers in the box are not as successful. I like that. I really love that philosophy. I got to get some coaches out here to talk about that. And right now, before I get out of here, I want to talk about this 4-star wide receiver, and that would be Brandon Rehmann. Now, this cat is pretty good. Anybody, by the way, let me just go back. Anybody want to jump on? Mike Rollins, I'll give you that right here. Said, I'm telling you, you can come on, man. You can talk about it. I don't think I've ever seen a defense that was confused in the second half as WVU against Kansas. Man, I can't disagree with you. And again, I'm going to tell you something. They did some really funky stuff there, man. Misdirection, a lot of that formation-wise. They were doing a lot of everybody overload to one side. And again, that just really plays with the defense. You got to be pretty smart. But boy, when you are guessing, what does it do? It slows your reaction time down. What is defense? Defense is everything but being slow. It's all about reaction to what the offense is doing. And if the offense knows what they're doing, they're not slow because they know they attack. And then the defense, you're guessing, boy, it puts you really in a binder. So that's very cool. Let me see what we got here. All right, there we go. Let me get myself down here and work this out. Do that. Bring it up here. All right. So we got Brandon Rehmann, 4-star. He's 6'1". He's about 185 pounds. You're going to see here. I cut up these plays a little bit. You see here the circle, and I look at him now. He looks like an athlete. He looks kind of like a gazelle. He's 6'1". He almost looks like he's a little bit taller on the film, but I'm told that he is 6'1". Oh, did you see the cut? He takes the cut outside and then he cuts across. Look at his pad leverage. Just look at that right there. Again, let's go here and take a look. Right here, watch this. Oh, look how he puts that left shoulder down. So he starts out going left, a crisp. Now, if I had Keenan Cummings come on the show here last week, if you remember, Keenan said he really thought he was a good route runner. Try saying that fast. But he thought he was really there as a route runner, more mature than your normal high school guy. And so when I look at that right here, the pad level is perfect. No defensive back's going to be able to stop him ripping across right there. Absolutely not. And watch this. Look at this. He's out. Look at his big old strides. Again, you're going to watch his slow motion. Put that shoulder down. Very good. And then he finishes off. There, the catch. And now what I like about this is he gets yards after catch. It's called Yak Man, yards after catch. And that's what you want because you know what, receivers, I remember there's a time Dana Hoger said, oh my gosh, you know what? We can't get any yards after catch because the receivers were just falling down. And he was right. Probably the same time that we couldn't return a punt either. I don't know. It's interesting. What do you got here, Joey? What do you got here? I got to keep looking down here. What do you think of Chad Scott, Wolfman? I like him, but I'm not sure he was ready to be the OC. Do you think he'll be okay? Most importantly, will Neil let him do his job? And he's got, I think here, did I miss something? Let me see. Right here. I'm not sure, Joey. Okay, so let's answer your question. Okay, before you finish this off. Chad Scott, yeah, I think he can, first of all, be ready. I think this is his wheelhouse. I think getting in there and using an offensive line and tight ends and wide receivers to establish a running game. Because anytime you can establish a running game, you have an advantage in the passing game. Because they have to invest in stopping the running game, which opens up the passing game. And I think that Chad Scott, I have a lot of respect for him. And every single running back we've had under Chad Scott has been tough, has been good, has known what to do. And here's the key to just say, well, he's a running back. He's got all the talent. You can't coach talent like a running back. Well, that's not true. And I'm going to tell you why. Because every single running back improved in pass blocking. Every single one. Lenny Brown, I don't think, was a great pass blocker in the beginning of his career at West Virginia. Lenny Brown finished with a strong pass blocker. Every single running back that I have seen has learned how to pass pro. That's what tells me he's a good coach. What tells me also is that guy is someone that I think team can really get behind. He's real. He's been here. He hasn't been a one-time wonder. He's been here. I think every single player that I've talked to really likes him, really cares about him. It's good to care about your coaches now. It's good. It's good to want to play for your coaches. I'm not saying that Graham Harrell that they didn't want to play for him. What I am saying is that I know that these players know that Chad Scott's here. Not that he couldn't leave tomorrow, but he's been here. He's been around. He's got a track record at WVU, and he's a likable guy. And so, yeah, I do think so. And, yes, I think Neil's going to let him go ahead and, do what an offensive coordinator does, and that's prepare this offense. I have no idea. I've been heard. So let's be totally honest. I have heard that Neil said that if, you know what, I'm going to call my own plays and it's going to be me. That's all I know is this, is that an offensive coordinator prepares all that offense. So he's producing it. He can certainly suggest if he's not calling it, and he certainly knows what's going on. I do think Chad Scott is the guy that West Virginia's looking for. All right, so did I overblow that? Well, that's how I feel, and I'm always going to answer everything to the truth because we are the WolfMan's call. And with that being said, I'm going to continue on here with Mike Rollins. I would have loved to have seen Jamal Adai as one of our defensive, I'm going to say, coordinators. All right, I'll show that real quick for you, buddy. Defensive coordinators. Yeah, well, that goes without being said for a lot of people, and it's good, but it's not happening. So I'm not going to waste too much time on that, Mike. But Jamal is he certainly could recruit, couldn't he? Even some of his old players, if you get my meaning. All right, there we go. Let's go ahead and take this off. Let's see what Brad's going to do here. Where's he at? Oh, there he is. Okay, let's see here. All right, now listen, this is what I want you to see. Okay, he's 6'1", right? He looks kind of lanky at 6'1". That's right. Don't worry about coordinator. So you watch it. You see his knees drop? That means that his center of gravity drops. Watch how this cornerback reacts to him, okay, because it's a quick. He stops on a dime because he drops lower, and that's hard to teach. All right, it's hard to teach, and he's dropping his center of gravity. Watch. Right there. Look at that. He stops. He stops right there. The corner has no shot to make it, and you're going to see, because he stops so fast that he can turn around and get yards after catch, which every coach and knowledgeable person wants to see if it's their team. You see him catch. Oh, you notice he stabbed that ball? He can catch it here. All right, didn't he stabbed it? Means he's got secure hands. You gotta like that right there. So again, here he turns. There's the burner. That's pretty fast. All right, look at him go accelerate. Nobody's got a chance. What do we got here? Okay, he's going to run the screen right here. Just doing it. He went out. He's jogging it. That's fine what he's doing right there. But he comes here, and what is he going to do? Okay, he catches the ball. Now, the screen is set up pretty good by his blockers here. So there's not much he has to do in juking. But what he does have to do is this, and this is God-given, my friends. God-given. Watch this. Oh, there he goes. That's called acceleration. That's called jets, baby. Give me the jets. I don't see a lot of jets on white. I don't see jets. Look at this. Oh, look at that right there. Okay, what was that? Was that like 2 strides for every 5 yards? We used to measure that, and I'm going to just tell you this. I was a 3-strided guy for every 5 yards. When you want to do the 4-4s and stuff like that, you want to be the 2 strides. Wasn't me. All right, there we go. Oh, 1, 2, look at that. Oh, my goodness. What acceleration, man. Boom, right off of the ship. That it's just like a plane going off the ship. Kind of like Top Gun with Tom Cruise right there. All right, what do we got here? Okay, we're going to see it from the end zone shot here. But again, what happens to the defender here? You're going to see the defender is going to try to match up. He's obviously not at the level of Brennan and talent-wise, but what he is right here. Look at this. Okay, he's coming around. Young man falls, defending him. He stays up because that's what good athletes do. They stay off the ground. How many times have you heard Neil Brown? How many times have you heard Mike Tomlin? How many times have you heard Tom Landry? Chuck Noll? Okay, all these guys stay off the ground. You know why? Because athletes stay off the ground. You know who doesn't stay off the ground? Is the guys that are not as good athletes. All right? I was probably on the ground a lot playing, but I would probably be biting their ankles and all that. So maybe I can make up for that way. But that is right there is fast, athletic. I mean, I can't say enough. Obviously, the young man cover him doesn't have what he's got, but that's what you want. You don't want him to have what he's got. All right, what do we got here? Oh, I did it. Okay, there you go. You got to look at it. All right. I screwed that cut up there by a second. All right, it's a little bit off, but that's all right. We'll enjoy that as well. What do we see here? Oh, another screen. Okay, got another screen coming out. Now, again, what does he do right here? This cat right here was running for him already off. And what does he do? He goes ahead and he accelerates, and the guy that's slower missed. Open field, baby. Let's talk. That's what we want to do. We want to get everybody, the skilled players, to get the ball, to get an open field. You know why? Because they can make people miss in space. Yards after catch, yak by missed in space. So I got to say that's miss, right? Miss in space. Yak and miss. That's what you want to do right there. Okay, now look at this. Okay, I told you about dropping down. I told you about playing with leverage. I told you about his left arm coming through, right? I told you, man. This is why I get fired up about this cat, right? You can't teach that, okay? Leverage right off the bat. You can't. It's natural. It's athletic, and you see him shut it down again. We'll watch it here. I'm sure I got to replay this. And look at his balance there from the side. Terrible tackling, by the way, on the defender. I should fire him. He should be like Reno Bellamy. Just fire the guy. But watch this. Look at this right here. Wow. Watch him shut it down. I'm not kidding you. Look at it. Look at that balance. He was at a full speed after acceleration, and he shut it down right there to read his blocker. So that means that not only, he's got field vision right here, but not only does he have field vision, but he's reading his blocker. He's showing that he can have patience. There's no panic. He's not going to. You ever see a guy just panic and they just run straight ahead? And no matter who's in front of them, they just go. And if they got a good play, it's like, you got 10 yards. Well, this is why he got a touchdown, because he can have the patience out under pressure of the ball. Action is live. This is full-blown live. And what does he do? He goes ahead. He reads the block, gets around it, and keeps his balance. Look, I love it, man. That's so athletic. That's what I look for when I'm looking to say, hey, is this kid got? It's not so much how many. Do you have 100 catches, right? That's not what it is about. How difficult were those 100 catches? But it's about this, and you're going to see him now. He goes vertical, just going right down the seam. Yeah, he's right there. No one's catching him. I'm just going to let that run right on through. And this is good. I like this receiver, man. I'm not going to lie. Oh, watch this. This is good stuff. Do you see him right there? He's at the very top. Now he's blocking. Now, this is what I look at. Okay, so he passed all the tests for his skill. He stabs the ball with his hands. He breaks it down. He's got great balance. He's got great speed, great acceleration. But is he a baller, man? Is he a football player? Or is he just a skill wide receiver who likes to catch the ball? Well, this is your answer. Do you see him right there? Do you see him? He's right there at the very top. He's engaging the player in the white. You see it? Is he a baller? Yeah, he's a baller. Look at it. He's a baller. That's a pancake. That's a wide receiver. We want to see a baller right here. There you go. Look. Oh, he's blocking. He's blocking. He's not giving up. The whistle hasn't blown, so he has to stop. He gets he's getting jacked, man. This is good. There you go. All right, so he's passed the test right there. That's a great job. We got any more here? All right, I'm going to show you. I'm going to let this run. Maybe one or two more plays. I say it here. It's a reverse. He's got the speed. We know he's got the jets. Again, he makes things happen. But what I really like is that he's got all this. That's why he's 4-star. 4-star. He's 6'1", and he's got long. Did you notice he's got long arms, by the way? And even at 6'1", he's got long arms. What do we talk about for long arms? 50-50, man, right? 50-50. Go up and get the ball. Right there. Oh, look at that. There's a stab right there. What's he doing? Watch him stab. Do you see how he caught the ball? He's not bringing it in. He's stabbing the ball with his hands. Again, yeah, that's just good stuff, man. I'm just going to I think we're almost done here. Oh, that's just pretty. Getting it done. But you know what? Dude loves to play the game. Loves to play the game. So that's all, folks. We got today. The WolfMan's call. Happy birthday, West Virginia. Happy West Virginia Day. Man, this is good stuff. And let me play this commercial on our way out. I want you all to know. I want you to come out if you can. Get there. Think about it. You know, we're going to keep going. I'm going to keep saying this. Keep saying it. Oh, Mike Rollins, you're saying who's this kid? As Brandon Rehmann. He's committed to West Virginia. He's a 4-star wide receiver. So you should like that very much. And with all that being said, anyone else? Anything for the cause? Joey, I'm going to put that up here because I know it was a great show, man. You know why it's good stuff? Because the people that run the show brought it today. Hillary Jeffries. Then we had Justin Marcum. And, of course, Brandon Rehmann showing the film. And George Kittle, the greatest tight end in the NFL. Don't tell me about Kelsey. He's a receiver 50-60% of the time. George is the man. And for everybody else, happy West Virginia Day, my friends. Enjoy it.
Hi, I'm Traylon Davis. I'm from Jackson, Ohio, and when I'm back home, you will find me at my local Par-Mar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Par-Mar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Par-Mar app and sign up for the Par-Mar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Par-Mar stores.
If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
Stationers, #1 office supplier in West Virginia, always in stock.